A country where you're not allowed to be wrong, number 15. A country where you're not allowed to be wrong. Singapore is praised as one of the cleanest and safest countries in the world. But few realize that this perfection comes at a price. People live under an incredibly detailed and strict system of laws. Here you can be fined up to $1,000 just for dropping a cigarette butt in the wrong place, or $500 if you forget to flush after using a public restroom. As for chewing gum, forget it. It's been banned since 1992 after gum once jammed subway doors and elevator sensors. Feeding pigeons, that's another $500 fine. And if you're caught graffitiing walls, you might face 8 lashes with a cane plus a few months in jail. Singapore, with over 6 million residents, is watched by more than 100,000 security cameras, roughly 1 camera for every 60 people. Even jaywalking can land you in court. The government calls it discipline that creates order. And it works. The streets are so spotless you could eat on the sidewalk without seeing a scrap of litter. But the trade-off is a society where people learn to fear the law rather than understand it, where being right matters more than being free. Comment 2. If you think living in a perfect country where no one dares to make a mistake might actually be scarier than chaos itself. Number 14. The hidden adult entertainment districts of Singapore. The hidden adult entertainment districts of Singapore. If Thailand has Soi Cowboy and Paya's Walking Street, Singapore has Geylang and Orchard Towers, red light districts that quietly exist within a nation famous for order and discipline. By day, Geylang looks like any ordinary neighborhood filled with small eyries and old shoppices. But when night falls, it transforms. Neon lights glow from narrow lorong's alleys. Music spills from small bars and friendly invitations draw visitors into a world of controlled allure. A side of Singapore most tourists never see. The government allows this nightlife activity within licensed zones under tight regulation and regular health checks, acknowledging it as a small yet real part of the country's multi-billion-dollar tourism economy. At Orchard Towers, known locally as 4 Floors of Fun, visitors find music, smiles, and lights blending into an atmosphere that feels both bold and strangely organized. Behind the glitter are real stories, women who left their hometowns to earn a living, working late into the night in a city that never sleeps. That's Singapore? Strict everywhere, yet flexible enough to make sure the night never truly ends. Comment 3 if you dare to explore the shadows within this perfect paradise. Every 10 minutes, there's a new victim of online scams. Number 13. Every 10 minutes, there's a new victim of online scams. Singapore is often praised as one of the safest countries in the world, a place where you can leave your phone on a cafe table and come back to find it exactly where you left it. But ironically, the digital world here is far more dangerous than any dark alley. In 2024, Singaporeans lost a total of $858 million to 51 reported scams. That's one successful scam every 10 minutes. All it takes is a fake bank message, a phone call from someone claiming to be the police, or a failed delivery link. From students and office workers to the elderly, no one is immune. In one shocking case, a teacher lost her entire $300,000 retirement savings just because she clicked on a link in a text message. The bitter irony, Singaporeans are being scammed precisely because of their trust in a perfectly secure system. The police have even set up a 24/7 digital scam response center to fight back. But when everything around you feels trustworthy, that's when people let their guard down the most, earning more, but feeling less happy. Facts about Singapore. Number 12. Earning more but feeling less happy. In Singapore, money measures everything: success, value, even happiness. People here work more than 45 hours a week on average, longer than in both the US and Japan, yet most openly admit, "My job means nothing except for the paycheck." Surveys show that 3 to 4ers of Singaporeans see their jobs merely as tools for survival. And more than 60% of adults under 35 suffer from burnout or chronic anxiety despite having stable careers. The irony? Even as wages rise faster than inflation and GDP per capita surpasses $80,000, people feel poorer and more stressed than ever. In this island nation where everything is expensive, from a tiny apartment the size of a garage in Texas to a $6 cup of coffee, making money has become a race with no finish line. The result is a generation choosing to live alone. They want to date to fall in love, but they simply don't have time. Each day ends like a marathon, another long sigh under the fluorescent lights of an office that never sleeps. Singapore is admired for its wealth and discipline, but behind the perfection lies a society where even loneliness has an hourly rate. Comment 7. If you believe true happiness should never be measured by your working hours or the price of your apartment, the shadow of inequality. Dark sides of Singapore number 11, the shadow of inequality. Behind the dazzling lights and skyscrapers of one of the world's richest nations lies an income gap as deep as the Grand Canyon. According to Oxfam, Singapore ranks among the top 10 most unequal countries on Earth. The richest 10% control nearly half of the nation's wealth, while the bottom 20% struggle daily to pay for food, healthcare, and basic living expenses. More than 80% of Singaporeans live in HDB public housing, symbols of the middle class, but also homes to lonely elderly residents and migrant workers renting tiny rooms to save money. Above them, the super-rich sip $1,000 wines at Marina Bay Sands. Below, elderly guards work night shifts just to pay rent, while charity kitchens serve free vegetarian meals on weekends. Singapore has no slums, but the aging HDB blocks with laundry hanging from balconies and overcrowded elevators are the closest thing to poverty that a perfect city will allow. A 2024 survey revealed that 1 in 5 citizens couldn't afford to live more than 3 months without income. For the wealthy, Singapore is a financial paradise. For the poor, it's a place where dreams turn into burdens. Life in Singapore. The most expensive capital in Asia number 10, Singapore. The most expensive capital in Asia. Singapore may be only half the size of Los Angeles, but it's held the title of Asia's most expensive capital for years. For visitors from the US or Europe, a single week here can burn through your wallet fast. A simple dinner for 2 at a regular restaurant can cost $50, and a latte on Orchard Road is nearly $7 pricier than in New York. Housing, though, is the real challenge. A basic 3-bedroom HDB apartment goes for around $700,000, while private condos easily exceed $1 million, and that's just for an apartment without a yard or garage. Many young couples end up living with their parents until their late 30s or 40s before they can afford their own place. And if you plan to drive, be ready to pay at least $100,000 just for the certificate of entitlement. COE, a license to own a car for only 10 years, excluding the price of the vehicle, taxes, or registration fees. In Singapore, a Toyota Camry can cost as much as a Porsche. In the US, Singapore is spotless, safe, and astonishingly efficient. But for many foreigners, it's a paradise you can only enjoy if you're willing to sacrifice your financial freedom. The dark side of the shady money, number 9. The dark side of the shady money. Over the past few decades, Singapore has transformed itself into the Switzerland of Asia, a financial hub attracting the ultra-rich from around the world. From Chinese billionaires and Russian oligarchs to American investment funds, everyone is pouring money into this tiny nation for its low taxes, tight banking secrecy, and political stability. Today, more than $4 trillion in assets are managed in Singapore, and every week, dozens of new golden citizens obtain residency or citizenship through investment programs. But that perfection has created a massive gray zone. With complex financial systems and strict confidentiality laws, Singapore has unintentionally become a safe haven for suspicious money. In 2023, the nation faced the biggest scandal in its history. More than $2 billion traced back to illegal sources, 10 ultra-luxury villas, and hundreds of frozen bank accounts, all within this so-called safe paradise. The Singaporean government insists that its system remains transparent and robust, but the world has started to ask, can an economy fueled by the wealth of the rich ever truly be clean? Number 8, watch out. Watch out for the taxi ride, watch out for the taxi ride. In one of Asia's most orderly and transparent countries, even taking a taxi can surprise you when you see the bill. Singapore's taxi system is known for accuracy and clear meters, but hidden surcharge fees are practically an art form. Just catching a cab from the airport adds $5 to $8 in extra fees. During rush hours, fares rise 25% to 50%. And if you ride past midnight, congratulations, the price can double. A 12-mile trip from the airport to Marina Bay Sands, normally around $20, can easily hit $40 if you're not paying attention. While most taxi drivers in Singapore are professional, a few experts know how to take the long way or overcharge tourists unfamiliar with local rules. Travel tip: always check the official taxi fare board at the airport or use the Grab app to avoid unpleasant surprises. When paradise becomes overcrowded, expat life in Singapore number 7. when paradise becomes overcrowded. In Singapore, you might feel like you've stepped into a miniature version of the future where lights, technology, and architecture blend together in perfect harmony. But visit Marina Bay or Gardens by the Bay during peak season, and that feeling might vanish in just 5 minutes. Lines stretch as long as those at Disneyland, with groups of tourists following one another under the 90-degree Fahrenheit sun. Every Instagram shot turns into a silent battle for the best angle. Everyone fighting to capture a clean frame without people in it. Something almost impossible these days. According to a 2024 report, Singapore welcomed over 13.6 million international visitors, nearly double its population. That's great for the economy, but the city is bursting at the seams. Even places that were once peaceful, like Sentosa Island or Kampong Glam, are now packed with tour buses and crowds. And so the city in a garden sometimes feels more like a garden in a city. Crowded, noisy, and missing the very things Singapore was once proud of. Silence, cleanliness, and perfect order. The price of being the world's no. 1 in education, number 6. The price of being the world's number 1 in education. Singapore consistently ranks among the top countries in the OECD's PISA assessments, where students score the highest in math and science. But behind those impressive numbers lies an education system so intense it can crush the spirit, where childhood is often traded for exam pressure and the fear of failure. From as early as age 6, Singaporean children enter a never-ending race. Constant tests, rankings, tutoring sessions, and extra classes after school. Many parents spend up to $2,000 a month on private lessons, enough to rent a small apartment in Texas. Scoring poorly doesn't just mean bad grades. It can define your future, because in Singapore, academic ranking determines your career path, not just what you learn. Kids start school around 7 a.m., finish at 3 p.m., then continue with tutoring until 10 p.m. They sleep an average of 6 hours a night, nearly 2 hours less than what's recommended in the US. On average, a Singaporean child spends more than 9 hours a day studying, the equivalent of a full-time American work schedule. A 2023 report revealed that over 70% of teenagers in Singapore feel exhausted or stressed because of schoolwork. The price of having the best education system in the world isn't just money. It's youth itself, a city built by invisible hands. Number 5, a city built by invisible hands. Behind Singapore's shining skyscrapers and spotless streets are over 1 million migrant workers who keep the city running every day. They come from Bangladesh, India, Myanmar, and the Philippines, the very people who built this perfect city, yet live in conditions unimaginable for one of the richest nations on earth. While locals enjoy their morning coffee at high-end cafes, many of these workers cram into dorms with 20 men per room, with no air conditioning in 95-degree Fahrenheit heat. Their average pay is only $500, $700 a month, and they work 12-hour days, 6 days a week. During the pandemic, tens of thousands were locked down in these dorms, not because they were sick, but because they were seen as potential risks. Ironically, these are the same people who built the bridges, raised the buildings, and kept Singapore moving. Yet they receive none of the prosperity they helped create. In a country where everything seems perfect, there still exists an invisible class that everyone knows about, but few dare to mention. Comment 8. If you believe no modern paradise should ever be built on such inequality. The elderly who never get to retire. Number 4. The elderly who never get to retire. Singapore is often celebrated as one of the best places to live. But behind the glowing skyscrapers and billion-dollar economy lies a quiet truth. Many elderly citizens are left behind. Here it's common to see men and women in their 70s pushing carts to collect cans, mopping floors in shopping centers, or selling bus tickets under the blazing 90-degree Fahrenheit heat. Not because they love their jobs, but because they have no other choice. In a country where GDP per capita exceeds $85,000, the irony is that 1 in 3 seniors still works just to survive. Singapore's welfare system isn't like the West's. The government believes that everyone should take care of themselves. There's no universal pension, only a mandatory savings fund known as CPF, Central Provident Fund. If you didn't save enough when you were young, old age becomes a race against electricity bills, rent, and medical costs. Social organizations estimate that nearly 30% of seniors live alone, and each year, cases are reported of elderly people passing away unnoticed for days. They are living proof of another Singapore, one where growing old doesn't mean resting, but fighting to keep going. When the government helps you date. Number 3. When the government helps you date. In most countries, love is a private matter, but in Singapore it's public policy. When an industrial lifestyle left citizens working over 45 hours a week with no time or energy for romance, the government stepped in. Since the late 1980s, Singapore's birth rate has dropped to alarming levels. In 1991, the government launched the campaign, "Have 3 or more if you can afford it." Couples who had more children received cash rewards and tax breaks, but the results were nearly zero. Refusing to give up, the government went a step further and created a bold plan. The Social Development Network, SDN, a state agency that literally teaches young people how to date. SDN organizes tea parties, relationship workshops, dance classes, and even state-sponsored speed dating events. Where else in the world could you find a government that helps citizens find love? Yet despite having a national Cupid, Singaporeans are marrying later and having fewer children than ever. It's a wealthy, disciplined, modern country where even love must be planned like a population development project. The strangest and most mixed cuisine in Asia. Number 2. The strangest and most mixed cuisine in Asia. Singapore is famous as the culinary crossroads of Asia, where Chinese, Malay, Indian, and Peranakan dishes come together in the same neighborhood. But behind the fragrant Hainanese chicken rice and fiery laksa noodles are a few mental challenge dishes that can make Western visitors take a step back. Frog porridge, balut, fertilized duck egg, grilled stingray with sambal, and of course durian. The fruit so pungent it's banned in many hotels because its smell can chase away angels. What's fascinating is that Singaporeans wear this with pride. During lunch rush hours, hundreds still line up under 95-degree Fahrenheit heat to buy a $2 bowl of noodles made by a 70-year-old hawker, a humble street dish that once earned a Michelin star. In Singapore, food isn't just a meal. It's a snapshot of society itself. Multicultural, full of contrasts, and sometimes a little too bold for newcomers to handle. The culture of scoring people. Number 1. The culture of scoring people. In Singapore, everything has a score, even people. From childhood, students are ranked after every exam. As adults, society continues to score you by your job title, income, university, and even your partner. These criteria aren't written down anywhere, but everyone knows they exist, and they determine your place in a society that worships success above all else. On dating apps, Singaporeans often ask, "What industry are you in?" before asking, "How are you?" In offices, employees compare watches, phones, or apartment addresses, small details that quietly reveal social rank. People aren't judged by personality, but by productivity. No official report card is needed. The social ranking lives in everyone's mind. The result is a flawlessly efficient society, but also a cold one, where your value isn't defined by who you are, but by how much you contribute. We've just explored the 15 dark sides of living in Singapore. Hopefully, this gave you a fresh and eye-opening perspective on the country.